We got one 12-volt battery on the front of the trailer. We do have a hookup light for hooking up at nighttime. We have two 20-pound propane cylinders that are full except for what we use to service the trailer. The arrow on the regulator is pointed towards that one over there and it's showing red inside the eye. As soon as we happen to open this up, it should turn green inside the eye. As soon as that bottle would happen to come empty, it's going to turn red back inside the eye where it's green at now, indicate that the bottle is pointed to is empty, and it'll have to pick up from this one over here as long as the cylinder is open. There is a manual crank in the front compartment that goes down through the top here that will manually crank that up or down. We also have a set of LED lights on the front of the jack and an up and down stroke button. As we walk around to the side, it has the 4 BL jacks on the corners. It does have a manual handle in the front compartment on the front door side. On the off door side, we have motion sensored lights in each side of the compartment. We'll start up here at the top. We do have a 110 outlet on the outside that is GFI protected by the outlet in the bathroom. We have our park cable hookup and satellite hookup. On the left hand side, we have our city water connect that you can hook to with a water hose and regulator and never have to fill the fresh tank on it, work right off the water hose. To the right of that, we have our battery disconnect. So when the trailer's not being used, you can turn the battery disconnect off and it shuts the refrigerator off to keep from pulling 12 volt from the battery. It does have an outside shower, hot and cold running water out here, and there is a hole in the bottom of the compartment so that you can bring your cable lines up and your water hose up so you can leave the big door shut on the compartment. Right behind that is the freshwater tank fill. It's where you can fill the freshwater tank on the unit. Just underneath behind the jack, there is a white valve for draining the freshwater tank. As we start down this side here, the lug nuts on the trailer has been torqued at 100 foot-pounds. Tire pressure is aired up to 65 pounds on the side of the tire cold. It does have a 30 amp power cord that's 25 to 30 foot long. Outside of the furnace is next. It's going to suck in cold air at the top, hot air at the bottom. I always suggest putting a mud dauber screen over the outside of the furnace for the simple fact that mud dauber screen is less than 15 bucks. It's $145 an hour for somebody to take the furnace out and clean the mud daubers out of it. The next connection in the back is a black tank flush so that when you're dumping your holding tanks, you can hook a water hose and regulator to that, turn water pressure onto it. It helps clean out the inside of the black tank only. On your termination valve, the gray valve in the front will be your kitchen sink, bathroom sink, and shower water. The 3-inch valve above that will be your toilet water only. Just right behind that termination valve, there is 2 low water drain points, a red and blue. The red is the hot side of the water system, the blue is the cold side of the water system. You'll use those for winterizing and de-winterizing of the trailer. In the back, it is prepped for a backup camera. At the top, it does have a backup camera prep on the back of it. So if you wanted to add a backup camera to it, you can. Do have a spare tire that's been air to pressure, but it's not been torqued on, it's been put on with a wrench. And then we're going to go to the outside of the hot water heater. Hot water heater works 2 ways, 110 and propane. The 110 switch is in the lower left-hand corner on the outside. The gas switch will be on your monitor panel on the inside. You want to make sure that you have water coming out of the pop-off valve before you turn on electric or gas. It also has a drain plug down at the bottom, and the drain plug is also called an anode rod. An anode rod, what it actually does is draws all the impurities out of the tank to that, eats up that rod instead of eating up the inside of the tank. Anytime the steel rod in the center is showing, it's time to replace it. But that is where you'll drain the hot water heater in between trips and for winterizing and de-winterizing. It does have a port spray hookup on the outside on here. We're going to go ahead and open up the kitchenette. There is an outside grill that pulls out. Black hose here, connects to the back on this side over here, then comes down and hooks to the black connection in the back. On that black connection for the quick disconnect, it also has a valve handle on top of it that is turned sideways. For it to have gas coming out of it, it needs to be turned in line with the gas line. Then we're going to come to the outside refrigerator. It has the thermostat controls are in the upper right hand corner on it. And it does have a strap for holding it in place. It does have the 2 outside speakers. I'll have to show you more about the speakers when we get to the inside. But there is a place for a TV out here underneath the canopy that you can hook to and work off the antenna and booster in the trailer, and a 110 to plug it into. Right behind the axle is the drain line. That might lie to you. Nope, it's got the freshwater drain on the other side. In the front compartment on this side over here, we have the 2 manual crank handles mounted to the wall. The bigger one does the balance jacks on the corner. The little S-curved one does your front tongue jack. We're going to go back to the front door. We're going to lift up on the grab handle. We're going to open the door fully extended. On the steps, it has a blue handle on the left-hand side that you pull loose with the door frame. Allows it to come out. Push button underneath each one of the legs. 15 to 18 slots in the bottom of the legs. Once the steps come out, the main thing on the steps is it has to lay flat in the threshold so that the door closes over the top of it properly. Now we're going to step inside the unit. It does have a working fire extinguisher on the left-hand side as we come in. We're going to come up to the top. We're going to check the battery life in it. It shows you the battery's fully charged. To get an accurate reading of that, we need to have the 110 line unplugged. Freshwater tank showing that it's empty. Black tank, which is your toilet water, and gray tank 1 is your bathroom sink, shower, and kitchen sink water. Does not have the gray tank 2. The first red button on the left-hand side turns the water pump on between the freshwater tank and the faucet. The second red button turns the hot water heater on. The little door side fault light's going to come on. It's going to stay on for about a minute. Once it goes off, the hot water heater will go through 3 lighting processes to light on gas. For any reason it does not light, that little red light's going to come back on. First button here turns your light above us on. Second one turns your LED lights on your awning. And then we're going to extend your awning out. Now that the awning's out and the skirt's hanging down, it does have a pull down on each one of the arms that you can push back on that arm, tighten up the little black knob at the top to change the pitch of the awning coming off one side or the other. Now your tabletop comes off the 2 pedestals here, goes down between the 2 benches, your 2 back cushions comes over the top of it. We do have a light for the table. You got an AM FM stereo. It is Bluetooth acceptable. It does have a USB port on it. TVs mounted to the wall should have remotes for both of those in here. The little remote does the stereo. The bigger remote does the TV. Should be 2 sets of keys for the trailer. The purple key does the front door lock and deadbolt. The Bauer key does your outside kitchenette. And then your 751 key does your 2 front compartments. All the rest of the paperwork that's in the trailer is in that drawer there. And that TV station's 80 miles away, so you do get pretty good reception off the antenna on top. Go ahead and turn that back off. There is a light on each one of the bunks at the top, a USB port, and a 110 outlet. What are bouncing around with? There's a light switch on the wall that turns the bathroom light on. The one right above the door is a 2-way light. It can be on 24/7 or motion sensor, so that when you come into the bathroom it comes on automatically. It has a single foot flush on the right hand side of the toilet. It's got hot and cold running water in the shower. Hot water on the left side, cold water. And a privacy curtain. It also has a brown vent in the bottom that brings heat into the bathroom area, and a white vent in the ceiling that brings air conditioning in here, a black knurled knob that cranks the vent up, and a little black button that turns the fan on. In the bathroom area here, you have to turn the light on by hand. You also have your GFCI outlet that protects all the 110 outlets in the trailer. You got a pretty good size medicine cabinet up at the top, pretty good size storage space down at the bottom. We're we're going to come back to the refrigerator. We're going to open up the travel handle. There's 2 thermostats in here. You got one up in the freezer. When you get ready to start freezing it, you can turn it to where it says colder. Keeps all the cold air in the top of the freezer. When it gets to where it's cold enough to keep the frozen stuff, you'll turn it back to the colder side, and then you'll use your push buttons in the refrigerator to set the temperature in it. And I try to use it on 3. But it also has an on and off button. Microwave up here at the top. Microwave has a clock button on it. Hit that clock button, let's say it's 4:30. Hit that clock button again till the 2 center eyes is flashing. The only reason I set the time on the microwave is I can tell if the trailer's lost 110 power coming to it. It does have a light for the stove top and a fan. Glass stove top gets lifted up 2 times up out of the way. Little button on the right hand side turns on the illumination lights on the valves. We're going to turn it to where it says high, using the striker on the left hand side to light all 3 of the burners up on top. Same way with your oven. You're going to turn your oven switch to where it says pilot on, hold down on the button using the same striker on the left hand side to light the oven. Once the oven pilot gets lit, let it sit for about a minute, then you can dial your temperature up on it. If you flip your button to the down position, you also have lights in the oven so you can see what you're baking. Thermostats right off to the behind it. They are marked with your 30 amp service being on the left hand side as they go across. Exactly what each one of them are. And then your car fuses from the top to the bottom are marked on the lid. This is your breakers. That's your car fuses on that side there. It tells you exactly what each one of the 12 volt fuses are, and I think it gives you 3 or 4 spots at the bottom that are empty. Little push button in the center of it. It does have a working LP detector underneath the sink. There is a button to turn it on and off. And it does have a 110 outlet on the right hand side of the sink. The 2 lights above the couch have to be turned on by hand. They both have little push buttons in the center of them. On the couch it will butterfly up. It also has a baby rack underneath it that stretches underneath the couch and gives you a barrier so your kid won't roll off the couch. Also has a heat vent coming from out from underneath it. On your thermostat, we're going to go through it and set it off. When you turn it on, it gives you your fan speed. You have auto, high, and low. Always run in the auto position. Hit the mode button one more time to see the snowflake in the lower right hand corner, which is your AC, and you'll dial your temperature down for it. You hit the mode button one more time to where it says furnace in the lower left hand corner. Hit the mode button one more time and it says off in the lower right hand corner. The slower you push the buttons on that, the better off you'll be too, because sometimes you can confuse it. There is a 110 outlet on either side of the bed and a USB port on either side of the bed. There's another place for a TV in the master bedroom. 110 outlet to plug it into. Part cable or antenna hook up at the top. You do have a brown vent to bring the heat into the bedroom area. You have a round vent, white vent in the ceiling to bring the air conditioning in. Narrow knob in the vent in the ceiling, but no fan. You do have a fire escape window on the off door side, and you should have pretty good sized storage up underneath the mattress. A drawer and the clothes rack on either side of the bed, and does have storage above the headboard. That is basically everything on your trailer. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them the best that I can, and thank you for your time.